Hello and welcome to another video. My name's Axel.
I'm Sean.
And today we are here underneath London Bridge to experience the London Bridge Experience and Tombs Experience. Now we cannot film inside this attraction today, but what we can do is give you our full thoughts and review. Are you excited, Sean?
Very excited indeed. Have high expectations of this. It seems to be getting some great reviews online.
It is £25 per person. It apparently lasts about an hour long, so let's head inside. We'll show you a bit around in there and we will see you on the other side. Let's go.
Let's go.
The London Bridge Experience is an award-winning visitor attraction set in the deep historical vaults of the world-famous London Bridge. As we journey through the London Bridge Experience, we encounter the dark history of London Bridge firsthand, as it is brought to life right in front of our eyes in this interactive, character-led adventure. And once we complete our journey, if we make it to the end, we then enter into the award-winning London Tombs, winner of the UK's Best Scare Attraction Award for over 13 years. Housed within the lower haunted vaults of London Bridge, the London Tombs is an interactive scare maze, playing home to a variety of characters and creatures, including clowns, doctors, zombies, dentists, butchers, spiders, and much more, offering a truly spine-tingling thrill. We did the full journey of both the London Bridge Experience and finishing off with the London Tombs. Stay tuned for our full review. So this experience is split into two sections. It's advertised, first of all, as the London Bridge Experience and Tombs Experience. Yeah. It's two of them together. However, you can't do one without the other, or you can't do the Tombs without doing the London Bridge Experience first. So we're almost reviewing two separate attractions in one. So it's quite strange, and I do feel like it should just be advertised as the one experience, the one attraction, and then you have the option of doing the final bit if you want to. Because you might not be able to, you might have claustrophobia, you might be pregnant, whatever, so you have the option to skip that bit, but it's still one whole attraction. I couldn't walk up to the door and say, can I just do the Tombs Experience? Like, that wouldn't be an option. So it should just be advertised as the whole thing, but I'm going to still review it, or we will still review it, as two separate parts as they advertise it. So first of all, we'll start off with the London Bridge Experience. It's an actor-led experience where you go through a couple of different rooms. I'd say it's 4 or 5 different rooms, and they tell the history of the London Bridge and how it's had 5 iterations. One thing that I do think is great is that we are actually underneath the London Bridge. Yeah. Which itself is very immersive. Like, when would you ever get to go through there? Let me do a ghost hunt under there. First of all, can I hire this place to do a ghost hunt? But still, regardless of that, it's brilliant to be within there. And the sets themselves are great. They're really immersive, really detailed. One thing that I don't like about the sets is you'll be looking at a shelf full of skulls, bones, pots, pans, themed to whatever the room's themed to. And then there's a light, just a bare light, for effect, shining on something, and that can take you out of the immersion. I get it, you might not be able to dig into the caves or the vaults or whatever you want to call it underneath the bridge, but you can at least hang it from the ceiling or try to disguise it some way, and that it's those little things. I don't think the general public notice, I don't know, but it's those little things that really take me out of it and kind of distract my attention. But that said, I wasn't looking there because the actors bored me. It's just the way my mind works. And speaking upon the actors did really well with what they've got, kind of thing. And I say that because I feel like they was trying to fit a lot of information in the script in such a short period of time. Whereas it's always better to pick one or two things and elaborate on that. Yeah. Like, none of the information stayed in my brain. Yeah, no. Because there was so much coming at me. Where it was like, just listening and following, and then, oh yeah, okay. Whereas if you pick one or two things, that stays with you and you're able to stick on track. They did really well at the comedy. It was light-hearted. It was humorous. And they really mixed that grotesque with the light-hearted comedy to appeal to every audience, whether the children, the adults, the in-betweeners, whatever. But still, I just felt like there was too much dialogue.
I think I know exactly what you mean. Like, when it comes to them presenting you with information, it should be, there's a lot of history in these things, so you could do so much. I feel like you've got to pick one thing.
You have?
Pick one person, one thing that everyone will know about. So, for example, in the bit with the heads, run with Guy Fawkes. I think for me, personally, they needed to rewrite the script so that they focus, for example, on the Guy Fawkes thing. And then it's like, this guy here, he looks like a friend of Guy Fawkes. And then they use that to pick on the audience whilst bleeding in a little bit of history about the bridge. And I feel like it needs to be more about an interactive actor-led scare experience than a history tour, because, you know, if I wanted to know the history of the London Bridge, I've got Google. Do you know what I mean? And there's enough history for you to just pick the most interesting thing and make a little 10-minute performance about it in each room.
Oh yeah, because the space, you can do so much good stuff with the space, and I feel like the script just needs a bit more development in order to really utilise what they've already got. You don't even need to change anything. It's just about working with that space that they've already got and telling the stories in more of an effective way, rather than not overloading you with history and mixing in with it with other things. And then by the end of it, you're just waiting to get to the scare maze kind of thing. But the actors were great.
The actors
There was
were
one.
really hard,
I do feel like they're missing some actors. They're missing some actors both in the experience and probably the scare maze as well. One of the guys played two characters, for example.
Back-to-back rooms. That was really confusing.
Did confuse me, because he had
I
a
was like,
Scottish
when did this Scottish guy turn into a Viking?
I was like, halfway through it came to me and I was like, oh, he's a different character. He came in and said, my name's this. And I was like, hang on, what your name this? And you were Scottish a minute ago.
I was thinking, were the Scottish Vikings? Like, that was my first thought. And then he's changed his accent and he's like telling us he's the son of a wolf. And I'm like, mate, you've got an identity crisis going on here. But he was probably one of the best actors.
He was, and he really did well at, because that's a hard job. Going from one room to the next, and all you've got is a cloak to disguise yourself, and all the guys in the room are like, what the hell? But he did really well with what he's got, and like props to that guy, because he was one of the strongest ones, and his accent was great on both sides of it. This whole experience is £25 per person. Maybe cheaper for children. But again, it is split into two sides of the experience. So what we'll do is we'll stop that there, and we'll say, what would you give the London Bridge section of the experience out of 5?
Out of 5?
I feel like I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, I was going to say like 2.5.
Somewhere in the middle. The actors are good. That gives it 1 for me. The sets are great. The fact that I'm underneath the bridge is brilliant. But to get it to that 3.5, 4, it's the script
for me.
It's the script for me.
Yeah. I think I agree with Axel. I think if I'd come during a peak time as well, my review would probably be different, because it felt very bare bones today. So if you do come to this experience and you come off peak,
that's not my problem. I'm still paying the same price as I would do in peak times, I have to take that into consideration.
But I'm just saying, like, try to not come off peak, because I feel like it affects the experience, which is bad, which is a bad thing, which is why I'm downgrading it to a 2.5.
Fair enough, but that does bring us on to the Tombs experience. The scare maze itself is probably about 10 minutes long. 7 to 10 minutes long.
It's a good chunk.
And what I will say is, it's called the Tombs experience, and for the first quarter of it, you're within the tombs, and it does feel, that all the theming is tomb-like. And I will say, this is probably the best themed permanent horror maze in the UK.
100%.
Better than Passage del Terror. And because it's themed from ceiling to floor, side to side, and some of the effects in there, some of the best effects that I'll ever see, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But what I will say, first of all, is that for the first quarter it was themed to tombs, but then it started progressively moving further and further away from the theme.
Yeah.
For example, it changed into a carnival, and clowns.
Had Jeffrey Dahmer's
Changed
kitchen.
into Jeffrey Dahmer's kitchen. Changed into zombies.
Yeah.
And in my head I was trying to link the story, like how did we get here? What's that got to do with the tombs?
Yeah.
Are they just throwing things in to make it scary because they've got all this extra space? I don't know. And the maze itself was great. The actors were great. There's some really good jump scares in there. Some of the actors got us multiple times. And as I say, some of the effects was fantastic. And, you know, as just a maze itself, come and experience this scare maze. Great. But it's the London tombs. And I have to say, in terms of theme and story, I didn't get it after the first quarter.
Yeah, I have to say I agree. I thought that...
Unless I'm just missing something, like, completely. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it's a matter of missing something. I think it's a matter of wanting too much from it. I think it's just... They've tried to make it horror. Like, I feel like horror was the theme, as opposed to London history and stuff like that. And it starts off with London history, and then it just gets slowly and slowly more into horror, which I get. I agree with you. It should stick with the London tombs theme. There's plenty in there, you know what I mean? Fair enough if you want to throw a circus in there, but, like, make it like a London circus, do you know what I mean? Like, there used to be...
especially with everything
There used to be circuses on lakes.
Are you making it about the horrible history of London, the grotesque history of London, or are you making it about the Five Bridges? All the stories that we've just heard within the tombs. Why is there not a section dedicated to Valhalla and the Vikings that came here and got down one of the tombs? Why is there not another section where you get into a load of hanging heads? All the stories that you've just heard, you're now experiencing. There's so much to work with. You don't have to make the second half of the maze just horror in general.
Yeah.
There's so much to work with from the stories you've just heard. You're now going to live that, and then you link the two together, and it's even scarier.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that's what it should be, but I'm just saying the reason it is what it is because they've just gone with like horror, haven't they?
It feels like it.
Yeah, they've just gone with horror, which is fine if that's the direction you're going in. So I'll review it as that. I thought it was really, really well designed in terms of set.
Yes.
Like the way the floor was all uneven.
Oh, yeah.
The way that
Levels.
the you could see where the jump scares would be. Again, off peak, it's not full. There's a lot of scare actors I feel that should be in there, and there was probably about 4, if that, in our scare maze.
Yeah,
I know
however,
one of the scare actors got us at least 3 times.
Yeah, because he was moving around that maze, and you know, not every opportunity needs to be filled with an actor because there's different types of scares that you need to get. Anticipation needs to build, etc. However, it was quite empty, but the same actor did get us multiple times, which, you know, is great. And as a scare actor myself, I know that that's fun to do that anyway. So you want to be able to provide someone with a good experience, but you can tell that with the size of it, there should be more in there. With different characters, because sometimes you're like, oh, it's that guy again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like because we do scare mazes a lot, I can say, oh, this could be this and this could be that. But as a whole, I think it was actually really enjoyable. Like, I jumped a few times.
Oh, it got me good a few times.
Jumped a few times. I really enjoyed like some of the animatronics they have in there with the set are absolutely
That's
amazing.
what I was going to say, the special effects.
Yeah.
I've never seen a gun that fires out a blast of air as hard as that one did to me.
Yeah.
It was like absolutely brilliant. More places need to get those in there.
Yeah.
There's a massive animatronic of a train.
Yeah,
just
that was
coming
brilliant.
At us.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like
Some of the soundscapes in there
some
were
of the
brilliant.
soundscapes, the
Yeah.
smell pods,
Yeah.
the darkness, and then the lighting in the right areas. As we say, the sets, the levels, the claustrophobia. They had those big cushions as well. There was a bit of everything in there. It was really good, that scare maze. It was just the theme of it got lost along the way, and that's what where where it's then I start to be critical, and that can lead into other
Yeah,
things.
I think we shouldn't have started with that because it makes it sound like we're unimpressed by it, and that is not the case. We just didn't understand the direction it went in as a in relation to the London
as a
Bridge.
piece, because when you come to London and you experience things in London, it's a really solid idea and a piece itself. And so for us to come to London, buy an attraction and come into attraction, the theme kind of be a bit all over and the script not be to the point, it's odd to us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You expect that somewhere else, but in London you don't. Like, it's very to the nail. So I don't know. But out of 5, what would you give the scare attraction?
The scare attraction, even though it was quite quiet, I would still probably have to give it at least 4 out of 5.
I was gonna say 3.5, but I'm happy with a 4. Even though there weren't many actors in there, even though the theme did change, as just a standalone piece, I'm absolutely buzzing with that scare attraction itself.
Like, if it makes you jump, you've got to give it more than 3.
They do advertise it as utterly terrifying and the scariest.
I have to say,
in the UK.
I have to say, going first, I was genuinely quite scared because, obviously afterwards, I think that's what didn't help is that I was the anticipation built and then nothing happened for me.
Yeah.
But like going through it, I was like, oh, this is like what there were so many turns and corners that it was like really, really genuinely anxiety building. And I just feel like there was no payoff for that. I was relieved at the end of it more than I was scared because nothing happened. But when it did happen, I absolutely bricked it. And the same guy got me several times. The animatronics were getting me, which never normally happens. Do you know what I mean? Like the train got me, that burst of air got me. There was like a rumble or a scream next to me that got me. And that's because they did a really good job of designing the actual way that you're walking through. So like there's always corners, there's a lot of dark periods. You don't always know where you're going, so you're trying to figure that out and you can't rush through it.
Yeah.
So that they've controlled the pacing of it really well.
Yeah.
And all of these things play into it. Not having the actors is fine. Like, I get it. You're not always going to have as many actors as you want, especially on a Monday when you're not expecting it to be really busy. You can have bare bones because that's how these sort of places stay open. But that being said, they do need some more actors in there. If there isn't normally, they definitely need some more actors in there.
And we do these things based on the idea that you've not already been to this, to give you an idea of what it might be like when to come and what to expect kind of thing. But there'll be people that are watching this to hear our thoughts and our opinions and see if it matches their own. We might have opposed yours completely, so if you have been to this experience here in London, please let us know in the comments below what you think with it. Do you agree with what we said or do you completely disagree? So, thank you for watching. I do think this is something that you should come and check out here in London. £25 is a bit on the expensive side. I'd say more about £17. Because we're just a 2, it's easy for us, but the more people that come, the more expensive it gets. That being said, though, come and check it out. Just for the scare attraction alone at the end, I think that bit is actually worth it as a scare attraction in the centre of London. But my name's Axel.
I'm Sean.
And we'll see you on the other side.
Bye.